Well, good afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Christian Morgan, Eric Chilton, and Taheshah Moise this afternoon. We are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected this afternoon. Well, just into our newsroom, Randolph County Schools is scheduled to host a high school graduation ceremony this Saturday, but the county health department is not on board with this decision. The health department says they're aware of the ceremony and they want to urge caution as coronavirus cases continue to rise. The health department says these celebrations are no exception to the mass gatherings rule under Governor Cooper's safer at home order. The department says the best option is to stay home. There are 7 active clusters in the county, and we have seen coronavirus clusters from graduation events earlier this year. One in Thomasville back in May, another one happened in Union County just a couple of weeks ago. Both graduations were for high school students. Health officials are reminding everyone who decides to go to the ceremony to sit with people that you live with and social distance from others, wear a face covering, take hand sanitizer, avoid post-graduation celebrations and group photos. Now, if you're worried you've been exposed to the virus or you have symptoms, maybe you've recently tested positive, you need to stay away from the ceremony.
Student athletes across Guilford County schools are teaming up and calling for fall sports to go on. About 100 teachers, students, and coaches rallied outside the GCS administrative office this morning. It comes after the district delayed the start of workouts until August. The rally was organized by Grimsley High football player and upcoming senior Sincere Burnett after he saw students in Charlotte holding a similar rally. He hopes it shows district leaders that students want them to find a way to have games.
I hope they took everything into account of what they heard from every student athlete, every parent, every coach today, and looked into the decision they recently made, and hopefully there's an improvement or a new plan in place.
GCS Superintendent Dr. Sharon Contreras issued a statement saying they heard the students loud and clear, but health comes first. We'll have a closer look at the district's response at 5 and 6.
Well, the Big South Conference has decided they will delay fall competitions until September the 3rd, it looks like now. And this will impact, by the way, High Point University sports, of course. The executive committee made that decision to focus on how to get athletes back into competition in a safe manner. It includes all exhibition and non-conference games for women's and men's soccer, volleyball, and men's and women's cross country. The September 3rd delay, by the way, falls on the same day as the start of football season. Spring sports will also hold any fall competitions on or after September 3rd.
We are 26 days out from the first day of school in North Carolina, and there are still questions and concerns over students going back to class and learning online. Now, some parents are looking for tutors to help teach their kids at home, and when Tammy Banther learned about the need, she was more than willing to help. She's coming out of retirement to fill the gap.
Teaching was something that I always wanted to do, but I just chose health instead. So where can I help? What can I do? And I'm tired of sitting on my bum.
Well, Banther's daughter is a high school vice principal in the eastern part of the state, and she says many teachers are worried about coming back to classrooms while also taking care of their own kids this school year. Banther will tutor kids in their homes and fill in as a substitute if teachers choose to stay home.
They're afraid. They're simply afraid. They're going to be doing the online school at home, and the teachers are still needed at the school because the schools are going to continue to stay open and run.
Banther says she is taking classes now to prepare for her new role. Well, let's get you caught up now with your 4 to 5 roundup. Juneteenth is now an official paid holiday for City of Greensboro employees. This begins next year. The City Council unanimously approved the measure last night at a meeting. Juneteenth is the oldest known commemoration of the ending of slavery here in the United States. On June 19, 1865, General Gordon Granger announced that slaves in Texas were free by order of the president. The announcement came 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation that became official on January 1, 1863. The lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein's longtime confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, is asking for a judge to place a gag order on the case. Her attorney says it will reduce any early judgment and protect her chances of a fair trial. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to charges that she recruited 3 girls for Epstein to sexually abuse in the 1990s. She will be held without bail until a July 2021 trial. The U.S. government says it will buy 100 million doses of a coronavirus vaccine being made right now by Pfizer and BioNTech. The U.S. is paying nearly $2 billion for the treatment, but the Department of Health and Human Services says Americans will not have to pay for the shot. Pfizer says it is on track to start the next step of their trial later this month. The company could manufacture 100 million doses by the end of 2020. People traveling to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut from 31 different states are now required to self-quarantine for 14 days. More states were added to that list that North Carolina is still on. The 3 governors say it's to keep travelers from hotspots from carrying the virus into the area. All passengers from incoming flights will have to fill out a form for the State Department of Health. Those who don't do that will face a $2,000 fine.
And it's another hot and humid day across the Triad weather-wise, but so far things are pretty quiet across the area, and I anticipate we won't have many storms to deal with today. There could be a few, and of course as they pop up, we'll track those for you. Holding on to the 90s, 92 in Greensboro, 92 in Winston-Salem as well. A little bit warmer, 94 in Burlington, but those feels-like temperatures, once you add in the humidity, it feels like it's in the upper 90s, around 100 degrees in most places. If you're keeping track, there's now 15 days at 90 or above for the year and for the month of July, which really isn't out of the ordinary. We average about 13 of those in July. Last year we had 22, which is about what we are on track for this month. High pressure still largely in control of our weather, continuing to push in that warm and humid air. The same story will be in play for your Thursday. We start out the morning hours quiet. Of course, we'll see those clouds build up throughout the afternoon. And then I think we will have a few storms to track on the radar tomorrow afternoon. They could feature some downpours, some frequent lightning, and maybe an isolated gusty wind as well. Of course, tonight, not going to be all that cool. We'll drop down into the lower 70s. Tomorrow, your Thursday, a couple degrees cooler. We'll only get up to about 91 degrees. And while our weather isn't changing much here, things are heating up in the tropics. We'll dive into those details and your full 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes when the 4 to 5 returns.
So, I've heard recently that with the first few weeks of school in a lot of districts going remote learning for a while, a lot of moms and dads are basically saying, you know what, we're not teachers. And they're thinking about going in as a group and hiring a tutor, and maybe even doing like a small group of neighborhood kids together and everybody pitches in so they can get a tutor to help their kids through all this. It sounds good on the surface, but I spoke with an insurance expert, Christopher Cook, who says that we need to know a few things before we do this. Take a look.
So Christopher, it's interesting to me that if these moms are talking about doing this and bringing those kids in and maybe a tutor, what type of insurance issues might we run into if we do that type of thing?
Well, for the most part, there's not a tremendous amount of insurance issues except for when money's exchanged, when a business is created. So if you're running a daycare out of your home, you could run into some homeowners insurance liability coverage exclusions, or if you're the tutor who's getting paid to do these things, you could have some liability exposures.
So really, if there's no money exchanged and they're just having some kids over and they're all going to be tutored, then you're okay. But if you start charging for that, then you need a different type of policy.
Right, when you become a daycare or an in-home daycare essentially, and there's a liability exclusion in every homeowner's policy in North Carolina. Every may be too large of a word, but in the majority of homeowners policies in North Carolina, that would exclude coverage for any activity that was related to an in-home daycare.
Let's talk about if you're just saying, hey, little Johnny can stay at my house. I know things are tough right now in this remote learning. What if he gets hurt on your premise? Are you liable for that?
You weren't at fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Your home wasn't faulty. Your steps weren't slick. You didn't have ice on the ground. But Johnny just got hurt at your property. Medical payments to others is compensation, if you will, for the injury that happened on my property.
That makes sense. Lots to think about in this litigious society that we live in, that's for sure. Hey, Christopher, thanks for your information. We appreciate it, friend.
So here's what you think about. There are a couple issues here. So if you have kids that come over and you've hired a tutor, even as a group of parents that put in money to hire a tutor, you're probably okay. The tutor, though, if there were to be any allegations of anything, we're talking physical, mental, any type of something against a child, the tutor would be responsible for any of that liability. So they have to have separate insurance policies, which I've never heard of. And then they would have to do that. Now, as he said, though, if a kid gets hurt at your house, this is any time, right? Most of the time, there's between $1,000 and $5,000 coverage in your homeowner's policy, but sometimes that's not enough. Something to think about,
I would have never even considered the fact that I needed to check in with an insurance agent because my kids were staying home from school and learning from a tutor, Eric. So this is a great story and really should bring attention to something that many parents might want to think about.
Right. And, we had that other teacher today who was saying, coming out of retirement, saying, I want to sign up and be a tutor. So maybe, a woman like that could benefit from just learning all of these different liability possibilities. I know it's going to be a tough time for parents moving forward as schools continue to make their decision. And no matter what decision is made, you got to cover your bases.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the 4 to 5 is coming back right after this break. Right now, we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So join our conversation there. Use our hashtag 4 to 5. We'll be back.
Yep. Mic check.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5 big sports news out of the Queen City today. We now know the name for the Charlotte Major League Soccer franchise. The team will be called the Charlotte Football Club. Today they revealed team's branding, the crest, and the team's colors. We want to talk about the crest a little bit more because it was inspired by Charlotte's history as the first American city to have its own branch of the United States Mint. The blue, black, and white colors represent the historic coins that were made locally. There's also, of course, a 4-point crown in the center, symbolic of the Queen City. The league season was delayed because of coronavirus, so it will begin in 2022.
The NBA season starts today with a brand new look. Now, the team's court looks a little bit different from what we're used to seeing at the Florida Stadium. So the team revealed the court with a new franchise logo that reads "Whole New Game," as well as a Black Lives Matter image painted onto the court. There will be no bench, and the broadcasters don't even get to sit courtside, and the game setup will be completely new. So we're going to bring in our digital guru, Brian Bennett, who's been mining your comments. Brian, what are people saying about these changes?
They're saying a lot, Taheshah. Some people love it, some people don't, as always. I'm just happy to see the NBA back. They could just be doing layups for all I care, and I'd be tuned in. But anyway, let's jump into the comments. Kimberly says, another reason to love the NBA. Toby says, this is wrong. This sport just killed itself. And just as an opposing view, Toby, other people may say that George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Walter Scott, John Crawford, Oscar Grant didn't just kill themselves. And that's why, all of these things are going on right now. Stephanie says, bring on the I'm never watching the NBA again, folks, with the crying emojis. Owen says, I'm proud of the NBA. They actually get it. Lastly, Iris says, overpaid, spoiled brats who contribute nothing. Right on the other side of the floor, White Lives Matter. See how well that goes over. Now, as far as contributing nothing, I personally don't believe that. LeBron James has his own school, and in any community, education is key. So whenever you have a player that can come back and basically uplift his community in that way, I think that says a lot. Our own Chris Paul comes to North Carolina, dedicates his time to basketball camps, gives back to Wake Forest University, which is his alma mater. Just recently, he went to North Carolina A&T and held like a master class on finance. So I don't understand that. I really don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, there are athletes that do great things. For me, honestly, I just find it surprising, that the NBA is going to be happening at all. We are hearing all of these different sports that are canceling their seasons, the NFL canceling their preseason. So I'm curious to see what this game will look like when it actually happens.
Now, we already see no fans in the stands, no commentators there on the court side, and this bubble that they've created down in Orlando for those NBA players, many people are saying it looks like you walked in to a video game because it's all just set up so weird and precise. Eric, a lot of talk about the way that things are looking in the NBA right now.
It will be strange to see. For me, I almost wish, now this is a stretch, but I almost wish the networks and the TV networks that broadcast the games would edit in cheers. I swear I would.
Well, they're doing that in baseball.
Well, it makes me feel like I'm watching a real game that's happening,
I don't know. I think it's a little cheesy, but whatever.
As long as I can't see the empty stands and I hear the noise,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'll pretend. All right, let's move along and talk about some other sports. Sorry, Maddie, I got carried away with myself. Because all I could think about was like Xbox and how that sounds. In other sports news, we'll talk about the Atlanta Braves now. They're finding ways to bring back the fans to stadiums by selling cutouts. I love this. If you upload an image of yourself and make a small donation, the team will make a cutout of you and put it in the stand. See, this is answering my own problem here. A $50 donation is what it takes, or $25 if you're an A-list member. It goes to the Atlanta Braves Foundation for coronavirus relief efforts. That is the way to do it. We'll be right back.
It's as American as baseball and apple pie. We're talking about the hot dogs. In case you did not know, today is National Hot Dog Day, conveniently placed just after the 4th of July and the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. It's really disturbing to watch the eating contest, in my opinion. Anyways, Thrillist.com said there are plenty of hot dog deals out there today. 7-Eleven is offering $1 Big Bites through their rewards app, and the Sonic Drive-In has $1 hot dogs all day long.
All right, but the burning question is, if you're not hot dog eating champion Joey Chestnut, how many hot dogs can you eat? A recent study from the Journal of Biology Letters says the maximum amount of hot dogs that a human can eat is 84. They studied 39 years of records from the Nathan's famous Coney Island hot dog eating contest and said it is physically and probably mentally, that's the most someone could do. Now, Joey Chestnut, he holds the world record right now. He has a whopping 75 dogs under his belt. Taheshah, take a look at that video. I know you love it.
Ugh. I'm glad I can't see it right now. I am happy just the way I am right here. I asked people on Facebook today, I said, all right, well, then let's settle a local argument here. Who has the best hot dogs in the area? Can I tell you that apparently what I've taken away from this story is that I need to do more stories on hot dogs. I had 60 comments in the first 13 minutes and 200 in the first hour. So let's take a look at some of your answers here. Mary Kate Moore says, Zach's in Burlington, best hot dogs ever. I have been there myself. And by the way, a lot of folks saying Zach's. Cindy Shaw said one I hadn't heard of yet. It's Boondoggies in Yadkinville. She said all the fixins plus his homemade pickled jalapenos, the best. Man, that really does sound good. All right, Becky Reed Helderman says Yum Yums in Greensboro. Joel Leonard said another one of my favorites, because I do like Chicago dogs, Mike's Chicago Dogs in Asheboro. He has actually been on the Good Morning Show before. Tammy Overcash said Clark's Barbecue in Kernersville. Carol Hughes said Kearns in Lexington. And Sharon Basinger, now I'm going to tell you, about a handful of people said this, just said the dude set up at Ace Hardware on Randleman Road. I don't know who that guy is, but I'm going to find out. It may be tomorrow. I have to figure out who this guy is. The dude at Ace Hardware had about 5 or 6 mentions today.
Wow, good for him. You know, I will say I love hot dogs, like a lot. And Tim Buckley makes really good hot dogs. Just for future reference, I'm talking Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley, top-notch hot dog chef.
That's awesome.
Honestly, the last hot dog I had, I think it was a Tim Buckley original. I'm not really a big hot dog person myself, so I don't have anything to add as to places in the triad. All I have to say is, Tasha, the producer, please warn me if I'm going to see people eating hot dogs like Maddie did, because that was really disturbing for me. My face was like this the whole time I was watching the video. They just inhale it.
Yeah, that's the point. You try to eat as many as you can.
It's the bun and the water part that I can't take. I can handle everything else, not the bun and the water.
Y'all are wimps. Those are athletes eating those hot dogs.
They are.
Come on, respect the sport. Christian Morgan, help us.
You guys are making me hungry. I gotta have one of these Tim Buckley hot dogs too, by the way. I was just texting him about that. I said, here you make a mean hot dog. Anyway, weather-wise, it's pretty quiet and it's hot and muggy across the area. Noticing some storms popping up in the mountains, but I think we'll be pretty quiet around here as we go through the evening hours. Not to say we couldn't have 1 or 2 storms pop up, but I think it will be a fairly quiet evening of weather. Still hot, 92 in Greensboro and in Winston, 94 in Burlington, feeling like it's in the upper 90s and close to 100 degrees. High pressure continuing to push in our heat and humidity out of the south, and again, that daytime heating will give us a chance at those scattered showers and thunderstorms. There will be a cold front getting close to us tomorrow evening. That gives us a slightly better chance to see some storms tomorrow. Over the next 12 hours, if you want to do anything outside, I'd wait till the sun starts to go down. It's going to be muggy and warm in the lower 70s. Tomorrow, your Thursday starts out warm, climbing up into the upper 80s and low 90s by the afternoon. And of course, we'll watch for those summertime pop-up showers and thunderstorms. 4 to 5, be right back.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Chilton, Taheshah Moise, and Christian Morgan's in today for the forecast. We are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. That's why we live stream our show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can join our conversation by using our hashtag 4 to 5. Well, right off the bat here, let's get you caught up with your 4 to 5 roundup. Investigators believe that federal judge Esther Salas was the intended target of a Sunday attack at her New Jersey home. She was in the basement at the time and was not hurt, but her son was killed and her husband was seriously hurt. Law enforcement sources tell CBS News that the suspect, 72-year-old attorney Roy Den Hollander, shot himself and was found inside of a car in upstate New York. Officials say the gun used in the suspect's suicide was the same gun used in the attack. The FBI also confirms that Sunday's shooting is linked to the murder of an attorney earlier this month in California. 15 people were shot outside of a funeral home in Chicago. Police say 2 are now in critical condition. The other 13 are expected to be okay. Authorities say the man whose funeral people were at had been killed in a drive-by shooting last week and that he was killed in retaliation for a previous shooting. One person of interest was taken in for questioning. The shooting comes as the Department of Homeland Security is planning to deploy dozens of federal agents to Chicago to deal with a significant uptick in violent crime in the city. Army officials say the body of a Fort Hood soldier was found near the Texas Army post. This marks the 3rd time in a month that a Fort Hood soldier's body has been discovered. 36-year-old Private Mihore Morto was found unresponsive near a lake last Friday. Officials have not said whether that death is considered suspicious. The skeletal remains of 24-year-old soldier Gregory Morales were found on June 21st. And on July 1st, U.S. Army officials found more human remains, which were later identified as Vanessa Guillen. Today marks 1 year since State Highway Patrol Trooper Chris Wooten was seriously hurt in a crash in Charlotte. He was riding on a motorcycle chasing a suspect when another car hit him. Trooper Wooten was left paralyzed from the neck down. His family says they are so thankful for all of the support they've received in the past year. He is now recovering in Atlanta.
All right, we have some street closures that you need to be aware of this weekend. Lindsay Street is closed starting on Saturday. Lindsay Street in Greensboro, that is, because they will be installing a new mural. So that area will be closed from Murrow Boulevard all the way down to Yanceyville Street. The closure starts Saturday at 7 a.m., plans to reopen Monday at 7 a.m. 2 local artists will be working on the mural and will be titled Say It Loud. Now, the Say It Loud is the 3rd street mural project approved by the City of Greensboro's Street Mural Program. The 2nd mural was from February to Washington Street that reads Black Lives Matter. And the 1st mural was the One Love mural on Davie Street. These mural projects are overseen by Creative Greensboro.
A recent Pew Research Center survey shows more people under 30 are moving because of coronavirus. The survey found the same amount of Americans have moved in recent months that typically move in a year. People under 30 say they're moving because of health or money concerns. Many are moving back in with family or getting a roommate. In a typical year, 10% of Americans move. That's according to census data. The survey talked to 250 people. 28% of those people say they moved because the risk of coronavirus was growing where they lived. 23% say they moved because their college campus closed.
So get this, immigration lawyers are now saying that more Americans want to move to Canada as the coronavirus cases continue to rise here in the United States. Now, Canada's Global News reports that lawyers say they're seeing a rise just in the past 2 to 4 weeks. One immigration attorney says they're seeing more Americans with Canadian partners making the move, or if they have possible Canadian citizenship through a parent. Attorneys say it is kind of tricky, though, to obtain a work status in Canada if you don't have family there. U.S., Canada, and Mexico all agreed to keep their borders closed, by the way, until at least August 21st.
Well, if you can't get into Canada, maybe give Bermuda a try. The island nation is offering a 12-month residency certificate to any foreigners to entice them to work remotely from the country. Bermuda's travel and tourism industry, of course, was greatly impacted by the virus. Now, if you have this certificate, you can work or study remotely while helping support the economy. They cost $263, and the hope, of course, is that people will come there and then spend their money at restaurants, hotels, and other businesses. Before the pandemic, those work permits cost more than $1,800 and they were for global entrepreneurs only. Now to qualify, you just have to be 18 or older and show proof of employment or enrollment in a research undergraduate, graduate, or doctorate program. You can submit your application through the government's website starting on August 1st. So I ask you what you thought about the offer and maybe what you would change about your work from home situation. Let's take a look at your comments this afternoon. Trip Miller said, Maddie, I think it would be that my workload would decrease. That's what he'd change about his work from home situation. Meanwhile, Christina Cromwell is trying to remodel. She said, I would change my kitchen just because I'm spending so much more time in it and looking at it. Laugh out loud. Bobby Odom thinks it's a great idea what Bermuda is doing. It helps bring in revenue. And Wendy Denny Johnson, they had a ball with this. A girls trip is in the works on my Facebook page here. She tagged her friend Rebecca and said, I'll go with you. And then Rebecca responded and said, but I'm not working from home. Yvonne Wilson Russell is, so we can fit her into the suitcase. And then Yvonne finally replied and said, let's go. So guys, they're planning a trip. I think because it's on my Facebook page, that means I'm automatically invited.
I would think that's true.
Thank you.
I mean, that's just my 2 cents, so to speak.
I want to go.
I think we can all go. It's a 4 to 5 trip now with Karen, Yvonne, and the other girl who is on there. I've already
call the
forgotten
bosses?
name. Yeah, I think that, you know, if we can just do the 4 to 5 live from a Bermuda island,
Excellent.
that would be great. All right, you are all shaking your head.
Take a road trip.
Yeah, a road trip, that's right.
All right, so with interest rates at a low, some 30-year fix under 3%, you know, a lot of people are thinking maybe now might be the best time to buy a house. Well, a new survey by Zillow shows that many buyers are not put off by COVID-19. In fact, they are willing to buy and sell without seeing or showing a home. Get this. 36% of buyers are willing to buy solely online, and even more people, 43%, say they would be willing to sell their home almost entirely virtually. So my question to you on Facebook today is, would you be willing to buy a house without seeing it first? I think you know what the comments are going to be. Let's go and take a look at them. Melanie writes here, never. Melanie, I agree with you. Pat Young Rudolph says, not a house. I couldn't even get the genuine jigsaw puzzle I ordered on Amazon. It was a fraud. No refund of my $20. I couldn't imagine losing that much on a house. Ronnie Stewart says, no way. Better see the house in person first, then make a decision afterwards. And Michelle says, I bought a place sight unseen when I first moved to North Carolina down in Archdale. Come to find out, it had roaches dripping from the walls. Fastest flip I've ever done. Michelle, that sounds like a living nightmare. I'm glad you were able to sell the home and get out of there. But you know what? This is the thing that people are doing. They are buying the houses and they're going so quick.
So my first instinct, Taheshah, when you told me about this story was absolutely not. But now I think there's so much technology, you can really get a good idea, like a virtual tour through the house. If you have an inspector go out there and take a look at it and confirm that it's in good standing and that's not infested with roaches like we saw in your comments here, then I would be okay with it. Especially if it was a long move, if I was moving across the country at this point, because you don't want to be traveling a lot during the virus.
If it's video and I can see a live video walkthrough of every crevice that I want to look at in that house, I will say to you maybe, but the answer for me for right now would be mostly no, because even when we do VRBO sometimes for vacations, and a lot of those pictures of the places look great, then you get there,
right,
not as great. So yeah, I would say maybe.
Yeah, a live video is key here. The pictures
Yes.
can be doctored in Photoshop to make it look a little bit better. I'm still laughing about the jigsaw puzzle on Amazon. I feel bad, but that was a really funny comment. The humorous part of the day. All right,
Yeah,
Christian.
I had to put it in. I had to put it in.
All right, guys, let's check on the weather. For the most part, things are quiet across the Triad. Seeing some storms pop up in the mountains, but no problems for us here in the Triad as we go throughout the afternoon. 90s across the area, feeling like it's in the upper 90s, close to 100 once you factor in the humidity. And that humidity isn't going to go anywhere. Over the next 12 hours, we'll drop down only into the lower 70s for those overnight lows. So it's still going to be warm tonight. If you got anything you need to do outside, at least wait till the sun starts to go down. Here's your planner for Thursday. Warm out the door and in the upper 80s and low 90s by the afternoon. Of course, we'll be watching for some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms. And while our weather isn't changing a whole lot here at home, the tropics are starting to wake up. We have our seventh named tropical storm, Gonzalo, of the year so far. Number 7, and it's between Africa and the Lesser Antilles, expected to continue on its westward trek. Could briefly become a hurricane over the next 24 hours, or it could be our first one of the season so far, but it's no impact, no threat to the Carolinas. Hanging out in the 90s for the next 7 days, keeping that chance of afternoon showers and storms in the forecast.
Well, an Asheboro boy who asked for cards, you may remember, is now home with a new heart and a great big smile. Of course, we're talking about 10-year-old William Sidebottom. He walked out of an Indiana hospital on Monday. He spent, get this, 173 days there undergoing treatment for a heart condition. 4 weeks ago, by the way, he had a successful second heart transplant.
Everybody's just so excited to have him back because, it's like a big piece of our family has been missing for so long. And, honestly, we weren't sure. Multiple times we were told he might not make it through the night, and he did.
While William was in the hospital, his family moved into a new home, and his mom says since he got home, he's been spending time just sitting outside because that's something he couldn't do while in the hospital. We're coming right back.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check 4 to 5.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. This is a story that has many people talking. Walmart and Sam's Clubs are going to close on Thanksgiving. Now, we first reported this to you yesterday on the 4 to 5. Those stores will be closed on Thanksgiving so employees can spend time with their loved ones. They're going to announce their Black Friday hours later on. So Brian Bennett is back with us, our digital guru. Many people talking about the company's decision. Brian, the comments I've read says they think they're making the right choice. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Maddie, absolutely. This was like the first comment section I ever read when like everybody was kind of like in agreement for the most part. And I'm in agreement as well, but we'll get to that later. Crystal says, good, they need to. They have families as well. All right. And now Alicia says, the way it should be, followed by Sylvia, who says, awesome, about time now. If all other stores would follow suit. Joanne says, good, the employees can be with their families. Sylvia, great for thanking other employees. Pamela, thank you, Walmart. So I don't know if you work there, Pamela. I'm thinking that you do. So congratulations and happy Thanksgiving in advance. Brianna says it shouldn't be open on Thanksgiving anyways. And lastly, Chris says if they actually cared about their employees, they would give them every Thanksgiving off. If you dive deep into the article, I think they gave them the day off because it was an unusual year. So he's saying basically they should have it off every year. I think it's cool, man. I really do. They work really, really hard. I think everybody realizes how hard workers in Walmart and people in the food industry are so vital to us, especially during the pandemic. And they deserve to be with their families. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think many people are. You know, guys, I, of course, grew up in Mount Airy. We'd take 601 on Christmas Day to get to my aunt's house for Christmas breakfast. And the Walmart is on 601. So every time we'd pass by on Christmas, my mom would say, everybody look to the left. You'll never see Walmart closed except on Christmas Day. Well, now we'll have to do that for Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of families too, right? They'll go to Walmart or to other places as a family, and that's what they do on Thanksgiving and kind of get that Black Friday shopping done a little bit earlier. Not going to happen this year, so I think it's going to be a good reprieve for those Walmart employees who have been working hard this entire last few months trying to keep the shelves stocked for people.
Right. I think everybody deserves a break, especially on a holiday.
I think especially with what we're all going through this year, this is a nice gesture for them just to say, you know what, here's a little gift, go home, be with your family, because it's one of those years when we all need to be with our family, maybe even more than usual.
Yeah. Now I just want like some turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce. We've talked a lot about food on this show today, y'all. See what you're doing to me. We'll be right back.
Hi there, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We all know how important it is to inspire our children. Well, my friends at the Surrey Arts Council, they're doing just that with a visual arts kids camp. It's really cool. It gives kids a deeper appreciation of the world of art. I spoke with the art teacher there, Maddie, about how it all works.
Maddie, I love this idea. I mean, studying a different artist every day and then kind of opening these kids' eyes to what's going on out there art-wise. Tell me a little bit about the camp. How does it work? And then we'll chat a little bit about what you guys have planned in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We meet for 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, and we learn about a new artist every day and do a project in honor of their work. So Monday we learned about Matisse and we did a collage. Yesterday we learned about Salvador Dali and we did watercolor elephants with long spider legs, and today we're learning about Damien Hirst.
So talk about why this is important, especially in this time. It's a stressful time right now, and sometimes arts can be a little bit therapeutic for kids. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so important, and it brings kids out of their shell. It gives them something important to do and something to get their mind going. And I just think it's such a great safe haven, especially for teens right now.
Do you ever get those aha moments when you see a student just kind of get it and the light bulb goes off, and what does that make you feel like?
Yes, absolutely. We actually have one right here. And Rachel, she's sitting across from me. She had a really big aha moment yesterday with her toucan. Do you want to show him your toucan, and Rachel? Yeah, she's going to pull it up for you if that's okay. Show it to him. So she worked on her long-legged toucan. She chose toucan instead of an elephant for Dali's day.
Salvador would be proud, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Maddie, I think you're doing great work. Thank you so much for taking time out today. Keep it going. Let's keep our kids exposed to the arts.
That's awesome. Sweet people there. If you need more information on that, all you have to do is go to our website, WFNYnews2.com. I'm going to get that story up here in just a minute, and we'll link you to the Surrey Arts Council as well. All right, hot dog update for you here. Spoke with Tim Buckley. He said the hot dogs he used are from Syracuse. They're called Hoffman German Franks. They aren't cheap either. I looked it up. The guy at Randleman Road that was getting all the love online, I found him. I just literally Googled Ace Hardware Randleman Road hot dog guy. Up pops DJ's all beef hot dog stand. He is in the top 10 on Yelp, Christian Morgan. We must plan a trip.
We must, and Eric and I have both been all over Tim Buckley's case now about these hot dogs, so I guess he had to offer up some information. Weather-wise, we're quiet across the area now. Some storms popping up in our mountains, and we'll watch for a few of those as we go through the evening hours. It's still hot, lower 90s across the area, feeling like it's in the upper 90s and close to 100. Tonight, dropping down to the lower 70s. Still going to be muggy. Your Thursday, a lot like today, a mix of sun and clouds early, watching for some afternoon showers and storms. We'll top out in the lower 90s. And while our weather isn't changing a whole lot, we do now have Tropical Storm Gonzalo. It is our 7th named tropical storm of the year, continuing to move to the west. It could become our first hurricane of the 2020 season, but it is no threat to the Carolinas. At the same time, there's another area that we're watching for possible development in the Gulf of Mexico. And as it continues its trek to the northwest, whether or not it becomes tropical, it's still going to dump a bunch of heavy rain and some strong winds along the Gulf of Mexico and the beaches there in the panhandle of Florida. 7-day forecast, it's hot, it's humid. That doesn't really change. We hover in the lower 90s for the next 7 days, and we keep that chance of an afternoon shower or storm, but they'll all be hit or miss. You may get one, you might not.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, bars in North Carolina have been shut down for more than 100 days and counting under the governor's executive order, but some have opened. We're digging deeper into how this is possible next on WFMY News 2 at 5.